Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear friends, let's solve some sample questions which will not come in the exam, but you will get an idea about the questions that probably can come in the exam. First of all, let's look into question number one. All of the following statements regarding a project manager are correct except which one? Now, there are four options, but they required the correct one. Means one option is correct and the rest three are not correct. Then you have to think about this, that which statement is correct. In such options you will get some irrelevant stuff, but only one option will be such that it will be exactly the correct one. You will have to choose the correct option here. And what is the correct answer? I will show you later on. I have the answers and with the explanation. Let's come to the question number two. During the sequence activities process, your project team has identified several dependencies to a few related projects that will provide major and critical deliverable to your projects. Some of those projects are very similar to your project in terms of their scope and deliverables. In this situation, which of the following process you should be most concerned about? In these questions, now they are asking about project management processes like sequence activities, in which process it is occurring, plan risk response, validate scope, control scope. Now you have to check about the sequence activities process, that in which project management process the sequence activities does occur. Therefore you have to check if it is a planning, definitely the next will be also a planning activity. Like sequence activities, plan risk response, definitely it's clear it is in planning. Validate scope, it is controlling and monitoring. Control scope is also controlling and monitoring. Now look into the question and then select the exact option. Now question number three. You are working on a project where negative risk has occurred. However, you have no contingency plan for this risk. You call a meeting and a solution is devised to change the workflow until a permanent solution can be implemented. This is an example of workaround, recovery plan, risk response plan, and reserve plan. Here you have to think a little bit that there is one risk, negative risk, and it has occurred. Now you don't have any contingency risk plan, because contingency reserve we are using for the non risks, and here this risk has happened but there is no contingency plan for this. Then what is the best example? Either it is workaround or recovery plan or risk response plan or reserve plan. With where this question, this negative risk, where does it occurs? Either workaround it is, either it is recovery plan, or this is risk response plan, or it is reserve plan. Question number four: which conflict resolution method is not a long-term solution? As you know, there are many conflict resolution methods we have, but which one is lasting and which one is not for long term, just for the time being? The options are smoothing, problem solving, forcing, compromise. All answer I will tell you about with along with the explanation later on, but you should think about such questions which can be there in the exam. Now the fifth question: you are currently implementing the risk management process of your project. There are a number of risks that have been identified in your project. However, the team has elected not to change the project plan to deal with the risk, but they have established a contingency reserve in the event that some of these risks are triggered. This is an example of what type of risk mitigation technique. Now, such lengthy questions will also occur in the exam. What you will have to do, you will have to do one thing, that keep some key points in your mind or underline or notes down on the scratch book from this question, such type of questions, and then focus on these key points, key notes, key words, and then come to the options. Either it is contingency response strategy, either it is avoidance, either it is active acceptance or passive acceptance, whatsoever. Such questions you will have to prepare for such type of questions, because you have to attempt these questions. And sometimes these questions are a little bit different from the next questions. Therefore, read these questions very carefully. Now we will come to the solutions along with the explanation. Question number one, the answer is the project manager is assigned after the project charter is created. This is the correct option because project manager is selected in the initiating phase and project charter is prepared in the initiating phase. And when the project charter is created, then the project manager is assigned. A project charter is created during project initiating, a project manager is assigned during project initiating and not after it. The rest of the options you can see it belongs to other project management processes, but only the option B it relates to project initiating. The question number two, this is a plain risk response. This is the correct answer. Since there are dependencies to the external projects and those projects should provide you with critical and major deliverables, the biggest concern must be the risk that other projects may cause to yours because other projects are also over there. And the biggest concern is the risk because the other projects can affect your project also. It would be better to prevent those problems in the plan risk response process than to just spend effort controlling or validating scope. This is the planning project management process, and you have to prepare plan risk response for such type of problems. Instead you evaluate that problem, a risk will happen, then I have to control, I have to validate like this. Then this will go to another project management process which is not related to this question. Therefore the correct option is plan risk response. If we look into option number question number 3, the correct answer is workaround. You know about workaround. What is workaround? Those risks which we are not taking into account. We have defined a lot of risks, but some have contingencies resolved, which we can say these are critical for us, and some we don't have. And such risks we call it workaround. We create a register for this, and the risks which are noted down in this register, they are called workaround. Workaround is a response to a threat or problem that has occurred for which a prior response had not been planned or was not effective. As I explained before, that for workaround or such type of risk for that we don't have any contingency reserve or any plan or any effect which was not affected because it's not affecting that much. Therefore, we are keeping them alone and in another register which we call workaround. Therefore, anytime there is no contingency plan in place but the risk which happen must be addressed, the response is called a workaround. Which conflict resolution method is not a long-term solution? This is smoothing because smoothing it will just minimize the problem for the time being, but later on it can arise again. Therefore, smoothing is not a long-term solution to a problem. Question number 5, the best option is active acceptance because recognizing the risk and not changing the plan but making some contingencies in the event the risk is triggered is an example of active acceptance because you have accepted this. Therefore, you have prepared the contingency plan for this. Passive acceptance would be if no contingencies were put in place, and avoidance would be correct if the project plan were modified to accommodate the risk. And the passive acceptance would be when there will be some contingencies for this. And avoidance means if you can make any change in the plan for such risk, then this technique is called avoidance. So this is all about the questions which you can find in the PMP exam, and we will try to solve some more questions, and every time we welcome some new questions with us. And if you have any question, you can put down there in the comment and I will try to revert back to you with the answer. Please subscribe our channel and wait for our next video. Thank you so much.